Welcome back to shul.com. We are here learning from Taame, HaMinhagim, HaDinim on Inyane Chanukkah. Let's continue. Tam, she'asu le'ishtamesh le'ora, kedei she'yeh nikar le'kol shehu ner shel mitzvah le'farsem hanes. So the reason why it's not permitted to use at all the lights that come from the Chanukkah is so that everyone should identify that this is only for the Pirsum Hanes, so that others should know about the miracle that happened, as opposed to just a light for illuminary purposes. Because you have to remember, when this was originally commanded, there was no electricity, and so generally if a person was lighting a flame or a light, it was either for light inside of their room or their home, or to cook. Those were one of the two reasons generally that people lit. So by not using the light at all and having additional lights, then people would know it is for Pirsum Hanes, for the miracle that happened on Hanukkah. Otam she'asu le'ishtamesh b'ner Hanukkah le'ora. What's another reason why you can't use the light of the Hanukkah? Kedei she'lo yita'achazu hachitzonim b'kedushat ha'or al yedei tashmish ha'chol hazeh. So the chitzonim, those are the bad energies, or they call chitzonim is like exterior, the things on the outside. The way that they have power, these forms of tum'ah, is when people use things of kedusha for divrei chol, for secular or for things that are not holy. So by not using the light, then the chitzonim also cannot use the light, because the chitzonim only get their sustenance from things of kedusha. So when people are not using the light of the Chanukkah, therefore they will have no power to be able to take any sustenance from this. And as Rabbi Mansour taught, the 36 hours that's brought down by the Rokeach is the half an hour times 8 days, a total of 4 hours, not 36 hours, 36 lights, but it's 30 minutes times the 8 days. You get a total of 4 hours of the Or HaGanuz. That Or HaGanuz was the original light that God had brought into the world that ended up getting hidden. Therefore, there is a custom to say the Yoshev B'Seter Elyon, which is Perek 91 in the Tehillim, and they even started from one pasuk beforehand in Perek 90 by saying Vihi Noam, V'hu shel shel Pegaim kanoda. It is the song of the Pegaim. Pegaim are like things of being attacked, or Negaim. Negaim is misfortune, and so this sheet of Tehillim ends up pushing away Hitzonim and bad decrees, and so we end up reading it at this time. So this Or HaGanuz that comes down would end up being protected from the Hitzonim and from any exterior negative energies that want to take sustenance from this. Avodat Yisrael in Parashat Vayeshev b'Shem HaArizal, and then he brings down as well the הערה לסעיף תו מ"ט בדיבור המתחיל בסידור. טעם שבבית הכנסת מבחין נר חנוכה קודם הבדלה, בבית הבדלה קודם לנר חנוכה. What's the reason that in the synagogues, in the shuls, they end up lighting the Chanukkah before they light the Havdalah candle, while at home they do the Havdalah candle before they do the Chanukkah? So what's the reason for this order? So originally in the shuler, they do this in order to hold the people hostage. And it sounds funny, but it's not. It's that the Hachamim wanted Berov Am Hadrat Melech, that it would be done in a way where all the people were at shul and have a big Pirsum Hanes, where the miracle will be seen by all. And they even light it with the Beracha in the shul. So when it comes to shul on Saturday night, they'll end up lighting the Hanukkah first, then they do Havdalah. And also because they've already were mavdil in the Amidah. When it comes to at home, first you do the Havdalah at home so that the Shabbat is officially over, and then you light the Hanukkah. Shema yishkach lehavdil b'tfilah ve'avdil isra b'hadlaka, because a person might have forgotten to do maybe the Havdalah and the Amidah. So here he would have the ability to do the Havdalah first and then light the Hanukkah without any possible issues. Tam shegomrim et ha'halel kol shemonat yemei Hanukkah b'tishat yemei Chag HaSukkot v'lo b'Chag HaMatzot. Why is it that on Hanukkah, the full 8 days, you say the Hallel with the Beracha, and also when it comes to Sukkot, you say it with the Beracha, v'lo b'Chag HaMatzot, but not on the holiday of Pesach? אלא שני ימים הראשונים ולא בראשי חודשים. and only on Pesach we don't do it on the first 2 days, but not on the Rosh Chodesh, on the 12 beginnings of every month. So it's interesting. You have the entire Halil is done on Hanukkah every single day with the Beracha. You have Sukkot, and then you have 2 days on Pesach, but not on Rosh Chodesh. לפי שכל שמונת ימי חנוכה יש בכל אחד מהם דבר חדש שהוא נר אחד יותר. Because on every day of Hanukkah you have an additional light and candle that's being added, something that's hadash, something new that's being done. ושמונת ימי חג הסוכות חלוקין בקורבנותיהם כיו מקריבים בכל ימי החג עין פרים. So on Sukkot there's also something additional done, and that's the korbanot. Now, even though the korbanot on Sukkot went from a higher number to a lower number each day, either way, there is still a change in the number and the amount of bulls that are being brought, the 70 total, keneged the 70 umot ha'olam plus Am Yisrael, it's 70 plus 1 in the nations. So because of the Ayin Parim, the 70 bulls, every single day there's a little bit of a change, of a difference, so there is a special Halil and thanks for that. V'yom Rishon haya Yud Daled Parim. The first day on Sukkot was 14 bulls. V'yom Sheni Yud Gimel. Then came 13 the next day. B'chol Yom Mitma'atim Beholchim. Every day a little bit less. It's interesting that's how you do it on Sukkot, and that was also the idea of Bet Shammai, is that first it's 8 candles, and then you go down to 7 to 6. And so it's not so awkward. Here, if you look at Sukkot, that's actually how it was done in the Beit HaMikdash, where you started at a high number and you went down lower, and you still had Hallel, and there was still a praise for it. Lekach gomrim bahem et Hallel. Therefore, on Sukkot, you finish the Hallel every day with the Beracha. Shechashuv yikol yom bayom mimei Chanukah v'chag HaSukkot kayam tov kevan shechiluk banerotav v'korbanotav. Why? Because there's a change in the amount of candles and in the amount of korbanot, so there is a special Hallel with a full beracha done because of these changes, as opposed to Hag HaMatzot or Pesach, where there isn't that change or anything that's visible that's different in the korbanot of that holiday. Aval b'Chag HaMatzot kol shivat yamim u'b'Rashei chodashim, on all the 7 days of Pesach and on the Rosh Chodesh, the first of the month, and b'hem chiluk b'korbanotehim, there's no change in their korbanot. They're all the same. Ela kulam shavim v'lekechach en gonim b'hem et halel ela shnei yamim. Therefore, you don't finish the Halel except for the 2 days, and that's brought down by the Abu Darham. And also look at Masechet Erchin, Daf Yud Amud Bet. Taam shekorim beChanukkah beParashat Naso b'Nesiim. Why do you read on Hanukkah in Parashat Naso, the longest parasha, in regards to the Nesiim, or what they brought in the Mishkan, or in the inauguration of the Mishkan? Because we have a Kabbalah brought down from generation to generation, that the entire Mishkan was completed and finished in its construction on the 25th day of Kislev. And also the miracle of Hanukkah, where the war ended and they finally took hold of the Beit HaMikdash and removed the Greeks from their authority and power after close to 140 years. Gamken be'oto hayom hu kemo Hanukat HaMikdash, and that it was also the same day of the Hanukkah the Mikdash mechadash, לאחר שנטמע בימי היוונים דומים להדדה, after they took over from the Greek, והווה למעין המאורע. So on those 2 days there was an inauguration of this Mizbeach and of the Mishkan, and of later on the Beit HaMikdash in the time of the Hashmonaim and Yevanim. And even though the Nesiim, the presidents or the leaders of the tribes, did not actually bring their sacrifices until the Rosh Chodesh of Nisan, it was finished on the 25th of Kislev, but it got held off until Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Mikol makom, either way, kevan she'elu hakorbanot hayu leChanukat HaMishkan, because those korbanot were intended for the inauguration of the Mishkan, haveh shafir me'en hameora, it comes down to the original inauguration and of the event that day, and this is brought down in the Levush, in Siman Tavresh Pei Dalid, in Seif Aleph. Taam she'en mazkirin me'en hameora b'Hanukkah b'Purim be'inyan b'beracha me'en shalosh. why is it that on the holiday of Chanukkah and Purim, there is no addition in the Birkat Me'in Shalosh? That's a Beracha ala Mehya, ala Gefen, ala Perot, talking about either grape juice, the 5 grains, or on the 7 in regards to the land of Israel, the fruits of Israel that are brought Bikurim. So why is it when it comes to Birkat Hamazon, you have Ala Nisim and you discuss B'mei Matityahu and B'mei Mordechai? You have those 2 options, but when it comes to the Birkat Me'in Shalosh, which is a short, abridged form of what is the longer form of the Birkat Hamazon for different items and different measures, Kevan Shelo Hizkeru B'Torah, because those were not mentioned in the Torah, we don't add it into the Birkat Me'in Shalosh. That's brought on the Machatzit HaShekel. Okay, Tam, Shemesachakim Bedreidel B'Sevivon. Dreidel is a Yiddish word. The reason why we play with this, or what would be called in Lashon HaKodesh, is Sevivon, B'Hanukkah, or B'Purim, Grogger, also a Yiddish word, which is in Hebrew Ra'ashan. B'Hanukkah lo hayta ha'itorut melemata, rak mele'ela. Because when it came to Hanukkah, all of the miracle came only from above. There was nothing that was done in the capacity that from Tata, which is on earth, it came. Everything came Ela from Aliyah, from on top. What do you mean from God? So, meaning it was very apparent that this miracle was an open miracle, that you had a bunch of rabbis with their Gemariot go and fight the Greek army and subsequently win. It was close to impossible. So all of this miracle came from the top. So when it comes to a dreidel, you hold the dreidel from the top portion and you spin from the bottom, because we're trying to remember that the miracle came from on top while the base on the bottom, while when it comes to a grogger that makes noise, you hold it from the bottom and it turns from the top, because when it came to Purim, the effect was that Bnei Israel made teshuvah here on earth, and therefore it was accepted on top, while in the time of the Greeks, most of Am Yisrael, over 90-95%, already became Hellenized, and most of them didn't even speak Lashon HaKodesh, didn't even know. They were learning the Torah in the Septuagint, in Greek, and so in that, it was really all from top, that God had mercy to save us, while on the bottom, when Purim, it was our actions along with the miracle on Purim that helped. So he says here, when it comes to Hanukkah, it wasn't from earth, from down, that came all that waking up. It all came from on top. And he says here, there's a note that he brings down, that's why in Hanukkah, we say, Rafta et rivam, you are the one who fought the battle. Danta dinam, you're the one who judged. Danta meaning you in heaven, God. Nekamta nikmatam, you took the revenge. But when it comes to the beracha after the Megillah, it says, Haravet rivenu, that you did the battle for our battles. Hadan dinenu, you are the one that did the judgment on the judging. Vanokemet nikmatenu, and the nekama, the taking back revenge. Lefisha bepurim haya hanes al yedei tefilat Yisrael v'yedei hataniyot. When it came to Purim, it was through our own tefillot on earth and through our fast. V'hayta yitoreru letata. All the waking up came from down on earth, that Bnei Yisrael also accepted Torah shebe'al peh, where originally on Har Sinai they accepted Torah shebe'chtav, na'aseh v'nishma, but they didn't fully accept the Torah shebe'al peh until the time of Paras and Madain Haman. Lechach shayach lomar haravet rivenu. Therefore you have a change in the text. One is haravet rivenu, one is ravta et rivam, to signify where was the waking up coming from. There wasn't coming from the teshuvah of Am Yisrael during the time of Chanukkah. Only God put into the heart of these giburim, these rabbis that went out and fought on behalf, the Hashmonaim, who fought on behalf of Am Yisrael. That God was Rafta et Rivam. God did it all himself. With the enemy, and this brought down on the Azor Eliyahu, the Hanukkah. He brings this down. Now, Kilo asu teshuvah kahogen, rak Hashem yitbarach b'rachamam. That when it came to Hanukkah, they didn't really do a teshuvah properly. It was all on the mercy of God. Lachen mesahakim bedreidel. Therefore, we hold the dreidel and hold it from the top to signify that this miracle on the holiday came all from the top. When it came to Purim, they did som, a fast, sak, they wore sackcloth, efed, they put dirt on themselves, yutzal rabim, and all of the miracle came from down on earth. The Grogger, when it comes to Purim, and this brought down korban ani b'shem haritza zatzal. Now, Taame shenimshach hanes het yamim v'lo pachot v'lo yoter. Why is the miracle 8 days, not more, not less? Mipnei shemakom hazetim shemisham mevi'im Hashem haya mahalach dal yamin v'chozim b'dal yamim harei ze chet, as brought down by the Rokeach. So it's interesting. Why was it 8 days Hanukkah? Because in order to get a new jug of oil that would have been sufficient, it took a 4-day travel time to that location. Then they would get the oil, and 4 days back travel time to get back to Yerushalayim. Otam, because everybody in Am Yisrael had the hazakah of being teme'emetim, of being impure from either touching a dead body or being in the ohel of a dead body, or similar nature of teme'emetim, of impurity. And it takes 7 days in order to become pure. They have to sprinkle on the 3rd and the 7th day. There's a process of dipping in the mikveh. So in order to get everyone, or at least some people, purified to make the oil, it took a total of 7 days plus 1. So because of that, you needed a full 8 days. And then so it took 7 days to become pure, 1 day in order to actually squeeze the olives into making pure oil, the first virgin oil that comes out. And therefore, it took that extra time, the 8 days, and that's brought on the Beit Yosef in Siman Tav Reish Ayin. Taame shetaknu lahadlik ner Hanukkah bebet haKnesset. Why do you even light candles in the Beit HaKnesset for Hanukkah? It's interesting because on the other holidays, you tell everyone do things at home. Here, you do it in the shul. What is that for? Because of the guests that come on Hanukkah or that are around that don't have a place to light it. That's why a lot of times I noticed Rabbi Minzer would always give out this to someone who was a guest in town. He was a guest, he would give him the option to say the beracha. That's why I remember back in Brooklyn, and this happens down here also in Miami, here in Surfside. Usually the guest will come and make the beracha, or someone who's not going to maybe do it at home, they let him do it in the shul. That's why they also did to do kiddush originally on Friday night and on Shabbat day in the shul in order to cover the people. A lot of times, we underestimate and we say, no, everyone does it at home, they have the whole thing, because maybe you have a family and you're doing it this way. But there are people that are singles, there are people older, younger, people that are guests, people not yet married, and they don't always have this ability. So doing it actually is devad sheberumo shel olam. It has a thing in the shamayim, because a lot of people are not going to outwardly come and say, hey, listen, I'm not doing it at home, or hey, listen, can someone cover me? But if it's being done, b'tzin'ah, everyone knows that it's being done, they're going to end up being covered. Mishum orchim da'achlu v'shatu bebet kenishta, because this was a time where they would eat and drink in the shul, so they would do the kiddush in the shul. It's brought down in the levush. He has a note here on the bottom. What's another reason? Al pi ma shekatvu hakolbo. The kolbo wrote another one. He says, the reason why we do kiddush today in the synagogues, even though today we maybe don't have the meals. I know some places do, but generally in shuls you don't have those meals on Friday night like they used to. In order so everyone could learn how to say the kiddush properly, so they hear the rabbi say it and they know that's the berachot, that's how you say it, that's how the process shimush tamidei chachamim. Delo gara mehatefila shel perakim שצריך להסדיר ועליין שם. וכן גם כן כאן תקנו להדליק בבית הכנסת כדי להסיר Also, what's another reason that they did the Chanukkah enlightening? So everyone can see the process, see how the rabbi does it, see how he set it up, see how he lit from left to right with the berachot, how he did it, and by learning it, seeing how he did it, other people would follow and do it properly. You'd be surprised how a lot of people, you watch how they do the halachot and certain things, and they do it improperly because they weren't taught, or they remember it from grade school or from high school, or the last time somebody actually sat down and did all the simple things. It's been a long time, and people sometimes forget. Taame shenogim ladlik bebet haKnesset ben mincha leMa'ariv or ben mincha leArvit. Why do they light between mincha and arvit, not after arvit? Mishum shehu techilat ha'achnasat hayom haba. That between mincha and arvit ben ha'arbaim is the beginning of the next day. How do we know that? It says vahi erev vahi boker. First came the night, then the day. Shetefilat arvit hu min hayom haba. That arvit is the tefillah of the next day. It's the starting of the next day, and that's brought down in the levush. Ve'yachid shemitpalel bebeto. Someone who's alone praying at home. Madlik gamken kodem ma'ariv. He should light before he prays arvit. If he's gonna do that, and you don't have to worry about saying that he might forget to pray arvit. Let's see what he says here. It's brought down in Magen Avraham. He has another note. That on Saturday night you should first light and then do Havdalah. That's talking about in the shuls of Aledat Hataz Sham Shesiyem Bekatav Halacha Lemaaseh V'zeh L'shonom Hagam Ki Kvar Nahagu Bebet HaKnesset L'Hadlik Shel Chanukkah Techila. We already had the custom in the shuls to first light the Chanukkah, then do Havdalah. Mikom Makom Mishi Yasik B'Dvarim K'Halacha U'Lo Lehavdil Bebeto Beresha. But really, if you're at home, the right thing to do is to do Havdalah first, V'Hadad L'Hadlik Ner Hanukkah, and then light the Ner Hanukkah. And also, because Tadir Sheno Tadir Kodem, Ken Nami Im Yachid Mitpalel Be'ato. If someone is praying alone at home, Mitpalel Ma'ariv Techila, first pray Arvit, V'Achakach Yidlik. No, so he says here, different opinion. First pray Arvit, then light. Not like we said earlier. So he says here also that it was brought down that even on other opinions that were brought down, that some opinions that previously said first you should light then pray, even they would have changed some of their opinions, that first they would pray Arvit and then light the Chanukkah. Okay, Taame lama en osin tish'a yemei Hanukkah misafek kemo she'anu osin bechag haSukkot tish'a yamim. So why don't we do on Hanukkah from Safek an extra day? We do only 8 days. That was the holiday in Israel. But why don't we do in Chul, outside in Chutz La'aretz? Why don't we do it 9 days? It's like Sukkot. You added 1 day there. Why don't you add for this one? Tishi'i Safek Shemini, the 9th, because Safek 8. Because the holiday of Sukkot comes from the Torah. Ve'echmiru Razal al Sefeko. And the rabbis were a little bit more stringent there. Because today we don't actually, we're not mehadesh the hodesh according to the view of the moon and of the edim. We follow the calendar of Hillel Katan. So because we have the calendar already set, so therefore when it came to Sukkot, we were stringent because it's from the Torah. About the Hanukkah, shehi midivrehim, but it's from the rabbis. Because they're the one who said 8 days, and they're also ones who did the heshbon of the moled of the new moon. So the Abu Darham brings down, therefore, when it came to Hanukkah, they did not add that extra day. Taame shenogim lehitanot shovevim tat. The reasons why we start the fasting of Shovevim Tat. What's Shovevim Tat? Shovevim Tat is a acronym of Shemot, Va'ira, Bo, Beshalach, Yitro, Mishpatim, and Tat is Tirumat, Tetzaveh. So we have Mipnei Sheyamim Elu Misugalim Letaken Avon Keri. That during these times of these parashiyot, it's the time where a Jew should start to work on the avon of the keri of the seed coming out of him improperly, yotir mikol hashana, more than any other time during the year, during these specific weeks, which is 8 weeks, 6 plus 2, to those that end up fasting during this time. Not every single day, they do it on Monday and Thursday. Some people have different times that they do it during the Shavavim. Therefore, it starts from the time of the Parashat Shemot, because that's the time that the slavery or the difficult part of the slavery and the extra work that was backbreaking work from Paro came during this time. Shenitkan Hakeri, the Adam Harishon. That this is when the takana of the seed of Adam Harishon this is when it came, and when you had to do the takana b'nigmar beparashat kitikne eved ivri, and it ends when on the words kitikne, when a Jew buys an eved ivri, another slave Jew. Obviously, it's not a lifelong slave. It's a 6-year time that they ended up doing it. Ubesod im begapo yavo begapo yetze, and that's the secret. In the gapo yavo, gapo means his goof. If he comes single, gapo yavo gapo yetze, he will leave single. And if he becomes married, he leaves married. L'rmoz shebechodesh aviv yatzu metukanim, that in the time of the aviv of Pesach they came out all complete, metukan, and properly complete in their actions. He brings an ayin atir haskenim and the Arizal as well in the Be'er Heter. Taam she'amar Tana bematnitin be'alef b'shvat rosh chodesh la'ilan. So why does it say that? Why did the Tana tell us that on the Aleph of Shvat, which happens on Hanukkah every single year, is Rosh Chodesh or Rosh Hashanah la'ilan? Why does he say that? So Bet Shammai says it falls out on the Aleph of Shvat, and when it comes to Bet Hillel, it says no, on Tu B'Shvat. So what's there? Lashon Yachid v'lo amar la'ilanot. So why does he say also? First, is two issues. Why does one say on the Aleph of Kislev as Aleph of Shvat as opposed to Tu B'Shvat? And why does another one say in regards to Ilanot? It says Rosh Hashanah la'ilan, not la'ilanot. Interesting. Why does it say it on the singular? Kemo be'enach. L'rmoz ma shekibalnu merabotenu litpalel betet vav b'Shvat al etrog kasher. Because when it came to Tu B'Shvat, they say on that day you should pray that you should find a kosher etrog. Kosher, not only kosher in the way that you know, but kosher that it didn't have any kilayim or any grafting of any kind, or possibly of the mixing of the seeds in order to produce that type of etrog, which is not kosher. So you should pray on Tu B'Shvat, umehudar, and also a beautiful one, Shiazmin Hashem Yitbarach be'et hamistarech lemitzvah, ki hinne ze hayom asher ole hasraf be'ilanot, because on the day of Tu B'Shvat is when the sap starts to come up onto the tree and go into the tree in order to begin the growth of the fruits and the flowers and later on the fruits. Vehu kifi haschut shel kol echad miYisrael, and the zechut of finding an etrog and the sap that comes to the tree is in the merit of every single one of the Jews in Israel. So it's on this day that you should pray for the Pri Etz Hadar, the etrog, in order to come in. You get one. This is when the Tana said it should be Lashon Yachid, La'ilan, Rosh Hashanah La'ilan, Lehorot al Ha'ilan, Hamyuchad, the Mubar B'Torah Mitzvah, and that's on the Bnei Yisachar, because it's not just talking about Rosh Hashanah La'ilanot, for all the trees, it is for all the trees, but it's referencing for the Ilan, the first Ilan of the Etz HaHayim, that's brought down, that the fruit of it was the etrog. Of course, there's a mahloket, if it was hita, if it was an etrog, if it was wheat, if it was a citron etrog, or if it was grapes that ended up becoming grape juice. But for the sake of this hidush, it's falling that it's an etrog, and because it's talking about the Pri Etz Hadar, that one tree that is the cause of what everything is and that exists in this world, and the reason why there's death in the world is because of the consumption of that fruit. So therefore, we pray specifically for the sap to come up on that fruit on that day in order to make the tikkun. And this is the end of Taame HaMinhagim on Yanei Chanukah. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.